Hello there. This is Cookies, and I wanted to go over two sort of concepts that I never really got to properly demonstrate when I was playing Naggarond that I was really looking forward to kind of doing, but because I kind of misplayed all over the place, I never really got to do them. So I kind of wanted to show off the two concepts. And they're both variations of pain transfer communions. Um, so And I've got a big dumb orc army here. The mage support didn't really matter for showing off what I wanted to show off here. So what we've got are two communion slaves. I don't think you need the blood randoms on them. I just happen to pull those. And a couple of mages. Now, what these mages are going to do is they're going to communion, and then they're going to do pain transfer. I've got two here for redundancy in case one gets shot by an arrow, but you can probably get away with one. All right, so, and in terms of the two concepts, the Dark Elves, like many elf nations, have many stealthy troops. And when you have stealthy troops, you can lay them in a province or hide them. And if an enemy army walks over them, you have the option of attacking inside of that province and triggering that attack in the magic phase by having some other magic phase portion of your battle plan for that province. So you can have a mage magic phase in, and the hidden units will attack in the magic phase. And this is great if you need a chaff wall. Now, I didn't do that here, but I just got like an Arouse Hunger and Call of the Wild to kind of simulate it, but you can do it with any stealthy unit. You don't have to magic phase in summons for it. And when you've got that sort of chaff wall, it gives you a lot more flexibility with how you magic phase in mages to do certain traps. Now, depending on what that army is vulnerable, pain transfer communions allow you a lot of flexibility in how you trap them because you only need a couple, ideally maybe like two of these mages. Maybe like S1s are particularly nice for it, hidden in a province. And with them, you can trigger the magic phase attack and get a communion boost and do the pain transfer. So, and for this particular thing, I've got two different traps set up in the same province to just kind of demonstrate the concept. Pain transfers are pretty strong, so it's going to be able, just the two communion slaves will be able to support the entire trap. And what we've got here is a summons trap. So a lot of the times one of the big dangers with trying to unload gems into elementals onto an enemy army is that army might dodge you and gem burn you, and then you're out all those gems. If you happen to have stealthy mages, especially with twos in paths, and then you can put them on the communion, and then they become threes, and they can do big elementals. Or even at twos, they could still get out big elementals. Just it's going to cost you more gems, but allowing yourself the flexibility to get out all these extra elementals is super solid. It guarantees that you get to do it on the enemy army because your mages are already in position. And you might already have a chaff screen there, some other mages, and all you have to do is trigger it in the magic phase. It's really nice. It's one of the nicer aspects of having stealthy mages. And then another thing that I've got is a Winds of Death trap. And so, once again, I've got Death 2 mages. They're stealthy, but these ones also have air, so they were able to magic phase in and trigger this whole trap. But in this case, they're also stealthy, so they could have been lying in wait as well, if needed. And they've got a bunch of death gems, and they're going to hop on the communion and do Winds of Death. So with Pain Transfer, spreading all this fatigue damage over the Blood Slaves and some sort of chaff screen, you can spend a ridiculous amount of gems on a very small number of mages, absolutely obliterating an army, which is pretty cool. So what we've got here is a big group of dumb orcs. We're going to hit them with a lot of Winds of Death. That's the primary part of this trap. But I also wanted to just kind of demonstrate the concept of doing elemental spam, which you could do with an army if you wanted. And you can, and again, this is all in the magic phase. Now, they did overrun us in this particular battle, but if I'd brought more chaff, maybe that wouldn't have been the case. But despite losing some of these mages, and there's many ways you could have like saved some of them, like the air mages could do mist form and then have like ritual of returning on themselves. I mean, you can do a few different things, but even if you lose a few mages, doing this kind of damage to a potential army could be really valuable. So, and even with this like piss poor scripting, we didn't have like nice quality shades already hidden in the province. It was, just honestly, some magic phase garbage for chaff. And then 6 mages and some gems. We were able to kill a whole bunch of stuff. And realistically, we really only needed 2 of the mages, and we could have saved them. Again, with the misform ritual of returning. But even if it was like a smaller setup, like you're setting a trap for some annoying thug that might be vulnerable to a few ice elementals or water elementals, depending on the climate, or you're trying to catch a small raiding party of Bakemono, you could trigger it. You could trigger a magic phase fight and maybe do a few fire elementals off a small pain transfer thing, or you don't even need to do pain transfer. You could just trigger a few fire elementals. There's a lot of flexibility here. But being able to effectively get all the magic you want just because you've got stealthy mages is really cool. And I think Naggarond and Sombre's mod is particularly well suited to laying these kinds of traps. But there's a few nations in vanilla that can also do some similar stuff. So LA Ulm, for instance. I think MA Nehekhara can also do some of this stuff. And I know it's not a big list, but I'm sure there's a couple more. But sort of the key components are stealthy astral mages. And typically you want some other path that might be doable for a trap. The best is when you have stealthy astral blood with either air or death. Or both air and death, or both, I think it's air and glamour. So you can do either Wailing Winds or Winds of Death. Winds of Death is great. And so your Crow Clan mages on Nehekhara can actually, I believe they have all the paths to do this. They've got the astral, they've got the blood, they've got the air and death, which is pretty cool. They've also got a lot of stealthy troops. And I think they might also have some other stealthy mages that you can sneak in and animal forms. I'd have to double check. But you could do all sorts of neat little traps with Nidavellir as well. I just think Naggarond's even better. As long as you can get enough heretics out, these stealthy Slaaneshi sorceresses are extremely versatile. Not only can you do all these magic phase traps like what I just showed, but they're also seducers, so you can use them to assassinate enemy commanders with Death 2 and Astral, which is particularly gnarly because they can do skeletons, they've got a little bit of blood, so they can do imps. With a Pearl, they could potentially soul slay something weird. You've definitely got some options. Along with Naggarond, if you've got some canine assassins in the same province that you're triggering the magic phase trap in, you could assassinate a lot of commanders and ruin their scripting, and then maybe hit them with Dark Riders on the flanks, do a bunch of elementals, have some shades in the center. I mean, you can do all sorts of nasty stuff to an opponent depending on how predictable they're being. So anyways, just wanted to be able to show off some of this, maybe give some ideas, show off a couple of concepts, and I hope you liked it. But yeah, that's it. Take care and have a good one.